Hello, I'm Sharon Garfinkel, and I work with Satish Kumar at the Resurgence Trust. On behalf of the charity, I'm delighted to welcome you to tonight's event. I particularly want to thank the Cowdray estate for giving Satish this wonderful opportunity to speak to you this evening. Wellbeing is integral to Cowdray's ethos and values and has been championed on the estate for many years. It is positively promoted throughout the estate's thriving and diverse businesses and is very much directed by Lord and Lady Cowdray's advocacy of such lifestyle choices. The programme includes a series of free events from live talks with inspirational speakers such as Colm Holland, as well as informative talking points by practicing therapists at Cowdray's therapy rooms. Topics from therapists include nutritional therapy, clinical psychology, physiotherapy, and osteopathy, to name but a few. Satish Kumar is a lifelong activist who continues to devote himself to campaigning for ecological regeneration, social justice, and spiritual fulfillment. He founded Schumacher College as well as the Resurgence Trust. He was editor of Resurgence and Ecologist magazine for 43 years and is now its editor emeritus. A former Jain monk, he has been inspiring global change for most of his life. Aged 9, he renounced the world and joined the wandering Jain monks. Inspired by Gandhi, he decided at 18 that he could achieve more back in the world and soon undertook a peace pilgrimage, walking without money from India to America in the name of nuclear disarmament. Tonight's talk focuses on his forthcoming book, Pilgrimage for Peace, The Long Walk from India to Washington. In fact, this is the first public talk Satish is giving on this new book. Satish will speak for around 30 minutes. There will then be time for questions. So please put your questions for Satish in the chat box during his talk, and I will relay them to him on your behalf at the end. Now, I'm delighted to hand the reins over to Satish. Satish.
Thank you, Sharon, for this warm welcome and generous introduction. Also, it is my great pleasure to be associated with the Cowdray estate, as my values of human well-being and planetary well-being are so close to the ethos of the Cowdray estate. So thank you, all of you who have been instrumental in organizing and inviting me to speak this evening. Tonight, I'm going to speak about my long walk from India to Washington. This is my first talk on my new book. The new book is due any day. It is being published by Green Books, and it will be available through Resurgence website, resurgence.org. Now, I was 26 at that time, and I wanted to see the world. And I also wanted to work for peace. Now, when you want to go in the world, there are two ways to go and travel. One, as a tourist. The other, as a pilgrim. I wanted to go as a pilgrim and not as a tourist. Having been brought up as a Jain monk in the religious tradition, and then having worked with the Gandhian movement, which is also very spiritual, I did not want to be a tourist. I wanted to be a pilgrim. The difference between being a tourist and being a pilgrim is the attitude of the mind. If you go as a tourist, you are expecting something from the others. And when you expect something, you are often disappointed because things don't work out as you expect them to work out. So as a pilgrim, you drop the expectations and accept people and the countries and nature and the world as it is. So I wanted to go with the mind of a pilgrim. And I wanted to go for some cause. And at that time, it was the height of the Cold War. The East and West were at each other's sort of doors, threatening each other. And so nuclear weapons were such disastrous weapons that whole world was concerned. Particularly the world peace movement in Europe and in England was led by Bertrand Russell. And Bertrand Russell, with 100 other people, went to the Whitehall in front of the Ministry of Defense and said, we want nuclear bombs to be banned. And until the British government declares the ban on the bomb, we are not going to move from here. So these 100 people, led by Bertrand Russell, were arrested. And then they were brought to the court, and the court fined them. But Bertrand Russell and his associates refused to pay the fine. And so the court gave them a sentence of 1 week's imprisonment. Now, Bertrand Russell was put in jail. There was a big news. And one day, when this news was on, I was in a coffee house with a friend, my friend, very dear friend, E.P. Bannon, and we looked at this news. And I said to my friend, look, he is a great man, great philosopher, great mathematician, Nobel Prize winning author, 90 years old, Lord Bertrand Russell, going to jail for peace in the world. What are we doing, young men, sitting here drinking coffee? Let's do something. What can we do? We talked and we talked, and we thought, let's go to these 4 nuclear capitals of the world: Moscow, Paris, London, and Washington, D.C. And let's protest against the bomb. That was a very exciting idea. Then we said, how do we go? Going by aeroplane is easy, and nobody will take any notice of us. If we go by train or car, even that is not very exciting. Can we go on foot, walking? Because peace is not just in the Kremlin or in the White House or in the capitals of the world. Peace is, and it is the people who have to really stand for peace. So our message is not only for the politicians, our message is also for the people. So let's take the message of peace, nuclear disarmament, to the people as well as to the politicians in the Kremlin, in Palais Élysée, in 10 Downing Street, and in the White House. So let's walk. That was wonderful. We felt very excited. And then we went to see our teacher, Vinoba Bhave, a great Gandhian philosopher. And we said, we want your permission. We want your blessings. We want your support for this long journey, walking for peace, as pilgrims for peace. Vinoba said, wow, this is a wonderful idea. I give you my wholehearted blessing. But I want to give you 2 weapons to protect you in this journey. I wondered, how can somebody give us 2 weapons when we are going for peace? He said, weapons is a metaphor. Metaphor, something to protect you. What are the 2 weapons you want to give us? He said, first one is that you are vegetarians, you remain vegetarian. Because the attitude which can kill animals for the sake of our own interest, the same attitude, same mentality leads to war. So we have to make peace with animals as we make peace with humans. We have to make peace with nature as we make peace with people. We have to make peace with the planet Earth as we make peace with politicians. And so remain vegetarian. Even though it will be difficult, remain vegetarian. That will be a message of peace in practice, not just words of peace, but practice peace. And the second weapon, he said, go without any money in your pockets. I was a bit surprised. I said, any money? Sometimes we need to write a postcard to you. Sometimes we need to make a telephone call. Sometimes we need a cup of tea. He said, no. When you are a pilgrim, you are depending on the generosity and hospitality of the strangers. That is the best way to be a pilgrim. Because if you have money, that doesn't show that you trust people. And wars begin in fear. Peace begins in trust. So when you have no money, you are showing by your example that you trust people. You trust the world. You trust the universe. You trust yourself. So that trust is the way to peace. So that was a very convincing argument. And since he was our teacher, he was our guru, we said we must listen to his advice. So we came to the grave of Mahatma Gandhi in Rajghat, New Delhi, and we gave all our money away. And we said, from today until we come back to India, we are not going to touch money. We are going to remain completely free of money, and we will depend on the hospitality and generosity of the strangers. That was something quite a news for many people. And so this is how we started. And we walked within India for 1 month. Day by day, we started about 10 miles, 12 miles, 15 miles, because in the beginning, your legs are not so used to walking, although I was a good walker, but still we started slowly. And then after 1 month, we came to the border of India and Pakistan. And that was the day we were leaving India and entering a new country, a foreign country. And so many of our friends, our family members, our Gandhian colleagues, they came to say goodbye. So it was a farewell. And one of my very dear friends was called Kranti. She came to me and said, Satish, I am worried. I'm worried that you are going to Pakistan, Muslim country. We had 3 wars between India and Pakistan over Kashmir. And you are going to India, you are going to Pakistan. We are at war with Pakistan. And you have no money, no food. How are you going to survive? What will be your safety? Please don't worry about your teacher Vinoba's advice. Take some money, take some food. I brought some food with me. So I looked at these packets of food and I thought for a minute. And then I said to my friend, Kranti, these packets of food are not packets of food. They are packets of mistrust. What am I going to say to Pakistani people? That I did not trust you, so I have brought my old food all the way from India? So I'm not going to take anything. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for thinking of us. But we cannot take any food with us, and we cannot take any money. We have made promise to ourselves, and we believe in this promise, that we will depend on the hospitality and generosity of the strangers. And we want to see, because peace is in our hearts. We have to be peace before we can talk about peace. So she said, but what will happen if you are hungry? I said, when I'm hungry and if I don't get food, I will say, this is my opportunity to fast. And when I don't get shelter, I will say, this is my opportunity to sleep under the stars. It will be my million-star hotel. Who cares for a 4-star hotel? And so please don't worry. I have no fear in my heart. I have no fear of death. I have no fear of hunger. I have no fear of being homeless. I have no fear of people. I have no fear of animals. I have no fear. But fear is the cause of wars. And trust is the cause of peace. This is the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi and my teacher. And therefore, I'm going to practice trust. My friend Kranti was in tears. She said, how are you going to survive? I don't know. I hope you do well. I wish you well. I said, Kranti, why are you crying? Don't worry. We are going. You are not going. You are safe at home. Don't worry. She gave me a hug. And then we said goodbye to all our friends and our colleagues and our family members. And we entered Pakistan. And that was a moment of miracle. The moment we put our first step, more or less, we put foot on the soil of Pakistan, a young man is standing there asking us, first question, the moment he saw us, he said, are you the two young Indian gentlemen who are walking for peace and coming for peace to Pakistan? I was so surprised. I could not believe my ears. I said, yes, we are. We are coming to Pakistan for peace. But how did you know? We have written to nobody. We know nobody. We have no address of anybody in Pakistan. We are just coming with trust. He said, your fame has traveled ahead of you. I heard the two Indian gentlemen are coming to Pakistan for peace and they are going for peace to Moscow, Paris, London, Washington. I said, I'm for peace. I want to meet these two people. I heard that you were crossing today the border. So I have all the way come from Lahore to meet you. I was so surprised. 5 minutes ago, my friend Kranti was saying that you are going to the enemy country. And 5 minutes later, I'm meeting face to face this Pakistani, so-called Muslim. I said to myself, now we are coming to Pakistan or going to any other country. We are coming. If we come here as Indians, we meet Pakistanis. If we come here as Hindus, we meet Muslims. But if we come as a human being, we meet human beings only, everywhere. So from today, our first and foremost identity is not of Indian or Hindu or Jain or Buddhist or any other label. Our first and foremost identity is we are humans. Actually, on that very day, I felt that the whole cosmos is my country. The whole earth is my home. And nature is my family. And love and trust is my religion. That was a kind of revelation on the border of India and Pakistan as I met first person out of India. And then this man said that this is a very hot climate, month of June. And in India and Pakistan, the month of June is very, very hot, middle of the summer. The temperature was nearly 40 degrees or more. And so he said, I've come by car. I want you to come with me in my car. And I take you my home. I want you to stay with me, meet my friends, be my guest. I said, that is a very kind of you. We are amazed that you have such a kind, generous heart and you are offering us hospitality. We will come. Give us your address. But we cannot come in your car. We have promised ourselves to walk all the way to Moscow and Paris and London and Washington. So we cannot take lift. He said, but dear guests, nobody will know that you have taken a lift in my car. Please come, because otherwise, how do I know that you will get to my house? Somebody else might offer you hospitality and you might accept their hospitality. So I don't want to lose you. I said, please don't worry. You are the first person to give us hospitality and meet us and invite us. So we will come to your house, give us your address, but we cannot take a lift. So he thought for a minute. And then he said, all right, I understand. You have made a promise, but you are carrying these rucksacks on your back. Please give me these rucksacks. I'll take them in my car. And it's better to travel light in this heat. And I will be assured that at least to collect your rucksacks, you will come to my house. I said, that's a good idea. Please take our rucksacks. Trust in our heart, we gave them our rucksacks. And he drove. And then in the evening, he came out of his home, walking on the sort of entrance of the city of Lahore, a very famous, beautiful garden called Shalimar Garden. That's why he met us again. And then he led us the way through the city of Lahore, and we arrived at his house. And he had wonderful family and invited lots of guests, and we had a wonderful feast. So that was the first day of our experience that we had outside India. And that reassured us, very first day, gave us confidence and a feeling that we are on the right path. If you have trust in your heart, universe will help you. Universe will support you. Universe will welcome you. And then after that day, many, many people walked with us, Pakistanis. They joined us. And we walked through Pakistan for 1 month, through Islamabad, and then the city of Peshawar. And then we walked over the Khyber Pass, which is a Himalayan pass. And as we were climbing the Khyber Pass, just before the border of Afghanistan, between Afghanistan and city of Peshawar, a car came by and the driver saw us. And he had a kind of compassion in his heart, kindness, and he stopped his car and he saw us, these two people walking on this very high pass, few thousand feet high. So he stopped his car and said, "Gentlemen, do you want a lift?" So we said, "No, thank you. We do not want any lift. We are walking." So he was a bit surprised. He said, "Aren't you glad I'm offering you a lift in this heat? You are walking. Where are you walking to?" "I'm going to Kabul. I can take you all the way to Kabul. Where do you want to go?" I said, "Sir, I seem to hear your voice. You are coming from the United States of America." "We are actually walking to the United States of America." He could not believe us. He came out of his car and said, "Gentlemen, do you know where the United States of America is?" I said, "Sir, we have never been there, but we have seen her on the map. And as Columbus discovered America by boat, we would like to discover America on foot. It will take some time. Never mind, we have plenty of time. When God made time, he or she made plenty of it. So we have no shortage of time. We are going to walk to America. Apart from the Atlantic Ocean, we are going to walk to America." So he was very surprised, very pleased as well. He said, "I'm a Quaker. I believe in peace. And you are talking about peace. Well done. here's my address. I live in the city of Philadelphia. If you are in America, if you make it, you get there, please call me. And I want to see that you have made to America. I said, that is very good. When you have no money, it is good to have address. So you have somebody to give you hospitality. And so he left. And we kept walking. And up and up and up, Khyber Pass, and then down, down, down. And then Landi Kotal, and then at the border, and we entered Afghanistan. In those days, that was 1962. It was a very peaceful country. And we walked through Afghanistan, and a wonderful culture, wonderful people, the Afghan nomadic people, and the farmers, and the Pathans, they were amazingly hospitable. And so we walked through the Kabul, along the Kabul River and the valley, and amazing, majestic, and magnificent mountains. I was born in Rajasthan, which is a country of deserts. I'd never seen such amazing mountains before. And so the Hindu Kush mountains, they attracted me tremendously. So up and down, we kept walking, and we arrived in Kabul. And then we stayed in Kabul for a few days, and we met lots of university people, students, public meetings. Our Indian embassy helped us to organize public meetings. And so we had a wonderful time in Kabul. For 1 week, we stayed there. And then we took a route directly going to Herat, rather than going south of Afghanistan through Kandahar, or the north of Afghanistan through Mazar-e-Sharif, so that will be a longer distance. It's a very much sort of small, a caravan route goes through the middle of Afghanistan, but it goes very high, up to 11,000 feet high Hindu Kush mountains we had to go over. And so that was a very difficult journey. And many times my knee started to give me pain, and ankle pain, and I got lots of blisters. And sometimes I also, being a vegetarian, that was a real test. I was hungry, and the people on the villages were very poor. They had nothing much to feed, and they will all eat meat. They kill goat or chickens, and I will not eat. So only bread and maybe some melons and some grapes and some fruit and that kind of food. So it was a very difficult journey. Sometimes I felt a bit despondent, a bit down. I felt, am I doing right? Is this worth doing it? But somehow I managed. I've written everything in the book. So we arrived in Herat, and then between Herat and Iran was an amazing desert. And there was a desert storm. It was a so heavy storm that we could not even see 2 meters ahead of us. But we were very lucky that somebody from Herat, who was a follower of poet Rumi, and he became very interested in our pilgrimage, and he said, I will come and help you and walk with you and show you the way during this desert storm and during this time. I know the route very well, and I know people and villages, and I can help you to organize some hospitality. So he came with us. That was very lucky. If we had not been supported by this follower of Rumi, poet Rumi, and supporting us in our pilgrimage, we don't know what would have happened to us. We might have got lost, or we might not have survived. It was a very difficult storm. But we survived, and we came to the border of Iran, and then we crossed over Iran, and then we walked through the desert, through Mashhad, which is a very beautiful city, amazing mosque, and a Muslim university, and many, many religious people there. And we also went to the graveyard and the cemetery of poet Umar Khayyam and his rubayats. They were very, very inspiring to us. So we had a wonderful time. Iran is the country of great culture and great poetry. like Hafiz, Umar Khayyam, and many, many other great poets who have come from Persian language. And so when we were walking, many people were reciting the poetry and also making carpets. So we saw the carpets of Persia being handmade. So that was a great education for us, how they were ordinary people, traditional people, handmade beautiful things. They were not educated, they were not kind of city people, they were country people, but their art, their craftsmanship, and their imaginative work, that was very inspiring. So experiencing all that, we came to Tehran. And in Tehran, we were met by the Shah of Iran, and then we walked through Iran, and we came to Azerbaijan, we came to Armenia, we came to Georgia, and so one country after another. There was a great joyful journey and hospitality. But I would like to end with this story. And this story is the story of peace tea. When we were by the Black Sea in Georgia, Georgians make very good wine, and also they grow very good tea, almost as good tea as Indian tea, a very good tea. And so we were distributing leaflets explaining people why we are walking, why nuclear disarmament is important, why we are making pilgrimage, why we have no money, why we are vegetarians. All these explaining, we were distributing leaflets. And so we gave this leaflet to two women who were standing in front of a tea factory near Black Sea in Georgia. And these two women read our leaflet, and then they said, "Oh, please stop for a minute and tell us, have you really walked all the way from India?" We said, "Yes, we have." "And you have walked without money?" "Yes, we have." "How do you eat? If you have no money, how do you eat?" We said, "People offer us food." We simply said, "People offer us food." So one woman said, "Are you hungry? Can we offer you some food? We work in this tea factory. We have a very nice canteen, and we have lovely tea and bread and everything. Would you like to have some food?" I said, "All right. It's a very nice time, lunchtime, and any time is tea time. So if you are offering us some tea, it'll be good to stop and have some tea." So we went in this tea factory. And so the two women, they made some tea for us, some bread, some butter, some jam, some nice cheese, some food, and we sat down and we started to eat. As we were just having our tea, one of the women stood up and went out of the room. And we thought, why she's leaving? Have we said anything impolite or something unpleasant? But she came back within 2 minutes. And she said, "Gentlemen, I would like you to carry these 4 packets of tea with you. These are not for you. For whom are they then?" She said, "I would like you to be my ambassador. And I would like you to deliver these packets of peace tea to 4 nuclear capitals of the world. First one, to our premier in the Kremlin. Second one, to the president of France in Palais Élysée. The third one, to the Prime Minister of England in 10 Downing Street. And the 4th packet of this peace tea to the President of the United States of America in the White House." My heart was throbbing. I could not believe my ears. And then she said that, "Please give them a message from me. I cannot go to these 4 nuclear capitals. I'm a poor young worker in this tea factory, a mother. I have a small child. But I am for peace. And I do not want to see nuclear weapons in the world. And so please give my message to these 4 leaders of nuclear countries." "What is your message?" I asked her. She said, "My message to them is that if you ever get a mad thought of pressing the nuclear button, please stop for a moment and have a fresh cup of tea. And that will give you a chance to think that your nuclear weapons are not going to kill your enemies and soldiers and armies. Your nuclear weapons will kill all men, women, children, workers, animals, forests, lakes, everything will be destroyed. Nuclear weapons are not weapons for use. So please do not use. So that will give you a moment, and you will not, because this cup of tea will be cup of peace. So please drink this cup of peace and not use your nuclear weapons. I was so touched, so moved, so inspired to hear these words. I said to my friend, E.P. Menon, with whom I was walking, I said, now we have a mission. Our mission is to deliver these packets of peace tea to the 4 nuclear leaders of the world. Whatever happens now, snowstorm, cold, hunger, any problem, nothing will stop us. We will deliver these packets of peace tea. And this is how we carried on. We arrived in Moscow and we delivered the packet of peace tea in the Kremlin. And we arrived through Belarusia, walked through Poland, walked through Germany, Belgium, France, and we were finding difficult in France. And we were not welcomed there by Palais Élysée. But one way or the other, we delivered it. Please read the whole story in my book, because I've only given you a brief outline. And then we arrived in a French pacifist helped us with the ticket from Calais to Dover. So we took a boat and we arrived in Dover, the White Cliffs of Dover, and then we walked through Kent and through London, and then we delivered the packets of peace tea to 10 Downing Street. And then we met Bertrand Russell in England, and that was one of the highlights of our journey. We said to him that you are our inspiration, and you are a great leader of peace, and may millions and millions of people follow your lead. He said, oh, that's very good. Thank you very much. But you have walked all the way from India without any money. But how are you going to cross the Atlantic? You can't walk over water. So can I give you some money for your passage? I said, Lord Russell, we have not touched any money for 2 years. So we don't want any money. But if you can help us with 2 tickets, and we don't want to fly, but we'll be very happy to take a boat. So he said to his PA, his secretary, all right, please arrange. Make sure that these 2 gentlemen get a passage across the Atlantic. And this is how we got our passage. And we got 2 tickets in the Queen Mary. And we sailed across the Atlantic and we arrived in New York, and we were welcomed at the United Nations by the Secretary General at that time. And then we walked from New York day by day, and while on our way, we came to Philadelphia. And we remembered the man who had given us offer of lift and given us his address. And we phoned this Quaker man and said, Dr. Scarf, that was his name. Do you remember 2 Indians you met over the Khyber Pass in Pakistan? We have discovered America. We have arrived after 2 years. He was so surprised. He met us. He invited us to his house. We stayed with him for 2 days. He got lots of his friends to come and meet us. It was a wonderful meeting and a reunion with him. And then we arrived in Washington, and we were received in the White House. We delivered the final 4th packet of peace tea to the White House. Then we went to the Arlington Cemetery, because we said that we want to offer our homage to John F. Kennedy, because he was a man of peace, president of peace. So we started our journey from the grave of Mahatma Gandhi, and we ended our journey at the grave of John F. Kennedy. One grave to another grave. and both men were assassinated. And therefore, we wanted to make the point that if you believe in the gun, a gun does not kill only somebody who's a criminal or bad person. A gun can kill a Gandhi. A gun can kill a Kennedy. So don't trust in the gun. And so with that message, we conclude our journey. And then our highlight, a kind of supreme moment of our journey, was meeting Martin Luther King. And that was a great moment. And so we were so delighted being in the presence of this man of nonviolence and peace, the embodiment of peace. That was the most inspiring. So Bertrand Russell in England, Martin Luther King in America, what more could we want? We were very happy and very delighted. And then we received an invitation from Japan. So we must make a peace pilgrimage to Hiroshima. And so we accepted that invitation, and we walked again. We arrived in Tokyo, and we walked from Tokyo to Hiroshima in 45 days as a pilgrimage to Hiroshima. And then the Japanese friends gave us a passage in a boat to get back to India. So that was 2.5 years journey, 8,000 miles, walking without any money, depending on the hospitality and generosity of strangers, and trusting the world, trusting the universe, and trusting in our heart. And trust is the source of peace. So with these words, I want to invite you to ask any questions you have. I've given you a brief outline of this journey, but there were many, many big events, many experiences happened, which are all in the book, and the book is soon coming out, which you can enjoy reading. Thank you very much for your patience, for listening to my story, and I look forward to hearing your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Satish. I feel I've been on a journey with you just listening to it. And it's like you've painted such a vivid picture. And thank you very much. It's wonderful. Now, we have some questions, and I would encourage others to send some questions to me via the chat box. But before we go to the questions, what I would be grateful for, could you do a brief meditation, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please put your both feet on the ground and bring your both palms together and relax your shoulders, relax your arms, relax your face. Breathe, smile, relax. Breathe, smile, relax. Close your eyes. The back is straight. The shoulders are relaxed. And when you breathe, be mindful of your breath. And be mindful that whole of humanity is sustained by the same breath of life which we are breathing. Thus, we are all united, one humanity. With that sense of unity of all life and interconnectedness of all life, breathe, smile, relax. And be mindful that not only humankind, but all living beings upon this earth, animals, plants, oceans, birds, all living beings are sustained by the same breath of life which we breathe. Thus, we are all interconnected. With that sense of unity of all life, breathe, smile, relax. Breathe, smile, relax. Let go of all your attachments, all your prejudices, all your anger, all your anxiety. And be mindful of the blessings that we all have. We have our body. We have our imagination. We have our heart and love in our heart. We have consciousness. We have courage. We can act. We can sing. We can dance. We can walk. So express your gratitude to the universe. Smile. Breathe. Relax. Breathe. Smile. Relax. And let's pray. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. Peace, peace, peace. May all beings upon this earth, humans and other than humans, live in peace, find fulfillment and self-realization. And may I serve all human beings and all other living beings. And may I offer all my thoughts, all my words, and all my actions for the well-being of all, for the well-being of all, for the well-being of all. And I hold my palms together as a symbol of wholeness, completeness, and relatedness, and gratitude, and humility, and unity of life. And with that sense of unity, breathe, smile, relax. Breathe, smile, relax. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Satish. Now, let me start with some questions, please. Okay, you were inspired by Bertrand Russell as a young man, and you, how would you encourage young people to become activists today when there are so many distractions, computer, technology, Netflix, etc., etc.? So how would you encourage youngsters to become activists?
Yes. I would like to say to young people that we have received so much from the world, from our ancestors, from our teachers, from our parents. Now we need to give something back. And we need to make sure that our planet Earth remains safe and remains integral in harmony for many, many millions of years to come. And all of us have to play a part in it. So when you have a distraction from technology, emails and social media and computers and television and so on, limit your time to say no more than 2 or 3 hours I will engage with social media. But even that social media should be used for action, for social justice, for ecological harmony, and a planetary integrity, because we have responsibility for each other, and we have a great examples to follow, as Bertrand Russell, as Martin Luther King, as Mother Teresa, as Mahatma Gandhi, as Simone de Beauvoir, many women and men, the women who fought for the women's vote, suffragettes. All those examples are there. If they had not done all these great actions and great activities and to end slavery, to end racism, to end apartheid, to end the Berlin Wall, to end imperialism, colonialism, all these things will not have gone. So only through this activism that we have inherited a much better society, free of apartheid, free of slavery, free of colonialism and imperialism. But now we have to move forward, and we have to create a better world for our future generations, our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and leave the world in a better shape so that they can inherit a beautiful, integral and integrated and a more protected planet Earth. Our forests are safe, our oceans are safe, our rivers are clean, our air is clean, our soil is good, our land is good. All these things we have to make sure that our children and great-children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren inherit this planet Earth and this social order of just and peaceful and spiritual and enhancing and harmonious. So this is our responsibility. So if young people don't act now, who is going to take that responsibility to make sure that this planet Earth and this humanity flourishes for many, many millions of years to come? So I will encourage young people to be activists. I was 18 years old when I became an activist, and I went on my walk around the world at 26, and now I'm 84. I'm still an activist, and I want to make sure that I give my time, my attention, my meditation, my time and work to make sure that planet Earth and humanity are in good shape and good health, good well-being of planet and well-being of people. That is my mission, and I think that is everybody's responsibility. The well-being is not a responsibility only of the government or business leaders or academics or scientists. So everybody has to take responsibility for the integrity and the well-being of the future generations. So this is why I say to young people, be an activist. Don't just think about yourself and your success, and your money and your job and your career and your power and your name and your fame. This is all limited. You go out of yourself and embrace the world, and the success of the world is your success. This is my message to young people.
Thank you. Just now you mentioned that you're 84, and when you were speaking early on in your talk, you spoke about diet. And I wonder if you believe your diet has kept you strong, is giving you good energy, if you attribute a lot to your diet in keeping you fit now. Yes,
I am vegetarian, and I think that we don't need so much protein as we are asked to eat. Many people say that you need meat protein so much. I don't need, because I'm 84, I'm in good health, and my mother was vegetarian, my father was vegetarian, my grandfather, grandmother, all were vegetarians. And so we need to have a plant-based diet more, because if you have too much meat production, particularly factory farms, where cows and pigs and chickens are kept in a very confined and cruel conditions. They never see the light of the day in their life. In such conditions, if animals are kept, they are not going to be healthy or happy. If we eat meat of such unhealthy and unhappy animals, it is not going to make you happy. And therefore, I would say the plant-based diet is good for your personal health, good for your social well-being, and also good for planet Earth. 30% of carbon emission comes from our farming sector. And therefore, animal production, meat production, factory farming is a big contributor to the climate change and carbon emission. Therefore, if we want to look after our planet Earth, if we want to reduce our carbon emission, if we want to reduce our footprint on planet Earth and natural world, then we have to reduce our consumption of meat. And even if you are eating meat, eat only organic, free range, grass-fed, good quality, where animals have lived good life, and a happy life. So that is minimal that you can do. But if you can have a completely plant-based diet, that is even better. So that is my experience and my view.
Thank you. How have you kept your feeling of trusting all through your life?
Yes, I have, as I have grown, I have learned more and more that trust is the strongest way to live and to be. And as I was walking with the Gandhian movement and working with the Gandhian movement, I was going from village to village to village, asking landlords to give land for the poor. And there were many people who were kind of aggressive, and many people who were not in agreement, and so on. And so I had to trust them. So even then, at the age of 18, 19, 20, I had to learn to trust. And before that, I was a monk. And as a monk, you have to go begging your food and trusting people. Some people give you food, some people don't give you food. You bless those who give you, and you bless those who don't give you, and you still trust. So throughout my life, I have experienced that trust is the greatest treasure, greatest wealth, greatest power that I have is trust. And when I trust in my heart, even if I'm cheated once in a while, even if I'm hurt once in a while, that is more acceptable to me than living in fear all the time. So I have decided to drop the fear. No fear of death, no fear of other people, no fear of anything. If some problem comes, I will face it, but I will not fear the problem. If problem comes, I welcome the problem. I say, all right, problem, you have come, I'll solve it, rather than fear the problem.
Thank you. I like what you've said, and also you spoke early on about how peace begins in trust. What advice would you give to people who perhaps are not that trusting and find it more difficult, especially in these uncertain times?
Yes. So people who are not trusting, I would say to them that just meditate on the word trust first. Meditate. Every morning, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, have meditation on this word trust. And then think about it, that when I came in this world, I was a little baby. I did not come with PhD. I did not come with any skills to do anything. How did I gain my life? It's the universe has given me my life. My parents have given me my life. If I had fear, nothing will I be able to do. So I express my gratitude to the universe. When I was born, suddenly the universe put the milk in the breast of my mother. That's amazing. So I was fed with my mother's milk. If I did not trust, how will I grow? I was not able to walk. I was not able to speak. But I learned to walk. I learned to speak. At that time, a baby has no fear. A child has no fear. Fear comes much later. So, what are you afraid of? I said to my friend Kranti that one day I have to die, so why to fear death? Whether that one day is in 1962 or 65 or 1990 or year 2000, doesn't matter when I die. I will die only once. So why to fear death? Why to fear? And if you trust people and trust the universe, tree gives you fruit. Soil gives you grain and vegetables. Clouds give you water. The river gives you water. The air gives you breath. Universe is giving you everything. You have to trust the universe. You have to trust people. If you trust people, you will love them. And when you sow the seeds of love and trust, you will get love and trust back. And so what you give, you get back. So those who don't trust and don't have trust, they have to meditate on this fact that if I don't trust, why should anybody else trust me? If I don't give trust, what right do I have to expect other people to trust me? So if I want other people to trust me, I have to trust. So trust begets trust. Fear begets fear. So if you want other people to trust you, then you have to trust them. This is the meditation you have to do every day. And then you cultivate that trust every day. And you try to trust your friends, and you try to trust your colleagues, and you try to trust your neighbors, and you try to trust strangers, and eventually your trust will grow. So meditation and mindfulness about trust is the beginning of cultivating the trust and making trust grow.
Thank you, thank you. Now there's something in the comment box that I'll just read out. Thank you for your talk, Satish, most appreciated. On your walk to the nuclear capitals of the world, although leaders back then, as is now, tell their people that their beliefs is the way to think and other countries are to be mistrusted. Of all the people you met, what was the majority feeling to strangers or other countries and beliefs? Was it more positive than negative?
Yes. When we were in Pakistan, people in Pakistan said, we are okay, we are hospitable, we are peaceful, we are peace-loving, we are okay. It's the other country, India or Afghanistan or other country, that is more difficult. So when we were in Russia, people said, well, Russians are peaceful, peace-loving. We want no war. We have suffered war, and 15 million people were killed in the Second World War in Russia. Nobody wants war. It's the Americans. You have to go to America and give them the message of peace. When you come to Europe or America, they said, we are for peace. We don't want any war. It's the Russians, it's the communists, it's the Cubans. Go there. So everybody said that we are peaceful, we are peace-loving, we don't want any war, but other countries, the enemy, it's a kind of imagined enemy of Russia or China or Pakistan or whatever. And so this is why I say the trust of other people is very important. So that we have to say that Russians have to think that not only Russians are peaceful people, but Americans are also peaceful people. And Americans have to think that not only Americans want peace, but Russians also want peace. Chinese also want peace. So if we have a generosity of spirit and we are able to accept other people as they are and not think that everybody in the world should follow one particular way, one religion or one political system or one economic system or one idea. Let the 1,000 flowers bloom. Let the 1,000 truths flourish. Let the 1,000 ideologies and philosophies flourish. If we allow this diversity of opinions, diversity of truths, diversity of religions, diversity of races and colors and nationalities, then we can celebrate the diversity. But at the moment, people think that they want to have their way is the right way and everybody else is the wrong way. There's no one right way. And so this is what I experience in country after country after country. But majority of people were very hospitable, and they were very peace-loving. They in Russia, in America, in Japan, in Middle East, everywhere I encountered people very peaceful in their own land and in their own home, but they were afraid of the neighbors, the other country. So I would like to create a kind of atmosphere where people can start to trust other countries. That was my experience. People don't want war. I mean, majority of people are engaged in their good life every day. Mothers are looking after their children, teachers are teaching their young students, doctors and nurses are looking after ill and sick, the young are looking after the old, the farmers are producing good food, the craftsmen are producing good crafts goods, and the people are producing good services. So majority of people are engaged in peaceful activities. Only the few people who are thinking about war and thinking about conflict and so on, majority of people are very peaceful. So I was very encouraged and very inspired after 2.5 years going through Muslim countries, Christian countries, communist countries, capitalist countries, rich countries, poor countries, every kind of country I experienced. And I found that people are good everywhere. Why are we thinking about wars? Why do we need nuclear weapons? People want to get on with their life as it is. So I was very reassured, and I found people are good at heart in fundamentally. But it's a kind of fear we have created of this, that, or the other, which is causing nuclear arms buildup and conflict.
Thank you, thank you. In your talk, you also spoke about the culture, the poetry of Iran, and I know how poetry is very important to you, and you read poetry every day. Could you share your thoughts on poetry and why it's important?
Yes, very, very good, very good. I think poetry will save the world. I read poetry every morning, and I read Rabindranath Tagore from India, and I read Pushkin from Russia, and I read Tolstoy, and I read Shakespeare, and I read William Blake, and many other, Mary Oliver, and Alice Oswald, and many wonderful new young poets. And so I read poetry every day. That gives me inspiration. Also gives me trust in my heart. That's my meditation. And I think that in every school, every university, and every college, our children should be encouraged to read, but more than read, also write poetry. Reading and writing poetry. That is very important to me. And I feel that if you are engaged in poetry, you are cultivating your imagination. Without the imagination, we are poor. And our poetry can help to cultivate and encourage and nurture and nourish and support our imagination. And so if you want people to be imaginative and creative, poetry is a very simple, clear, and a direct route to that imagination. And then also, if we are engaged in reading and poetry, then we are going out in nature. Nature is more great inspiration for poetry. All the great poets get their inspiration from nature. And so at the moment, we are too much kind of locked in our boxes, in our houses, in our cars, in our computers, and so on. We have to get out of the box. Poetry cannot come out of computer. Poetry cannot come out of box. We have to come out of box and go in nature. Mountains, rivers, oceans, flowers, birds, people, humanity. These are the sources of imagination and poetry. So I would say, if you want to cultivate your imagination, you want a happiness, you want fulfillment, spiritual fulfillment, and you want a joy in your life, then poetry is a royal route to happiness.
Thank you. Thank you. And I was struck early on in your talk how you spoke about, how you mentioned that you were given 2 weapons, metaphorical weapons early on.
Yes.
If you were now to give somebody 2 weapons, what would they be?
I mean, I would say that trusting is a very important weapon. And if you are a young person, I would say that you go with an attitude of a pilgrim. That is my weapon. Because when you are going as a tourist, as I said at the beginning, you are always disappointed because things never work out as you expect things to work out. Therefore, you can never find joy and fulfillment in your action. But if you live like a pilgrim, that is your kind of defense, and that's kind of source of inspiration and source of fulfillment. So my first weapon to everybody will be that cultivate an attitude of a pilgrim. On this planet Earth, we have to live like a pilgrim and not like a tourist. Because tourist always wants, takes. But the pilgrim accepts. This is a very beautiful way to live on this planet Earth. At the moment, our planet is in a jeopardy, in a difficult time we are passing through because we have a touristic mindset. And we live on this planet Earth as if we have a right for everything. And we are wasting, consuming, and destroying our natural resources. So we need to change this attitude to nature. And our attitude to nature should not be of superiority. We should not think that humans are somehow better and superior and upright. We can take everything what we want. And the nature is there only for our use and only as a resource for the economy. This mindset has to change. So that's the one thing I would like to give to everybody. Be a pilgrim on this planet Earth and not a tourist on this planet Earth and in your life. That's the number one. And number two, I would say, is elegant simplicity. That's my another book. Try to live your life in a more simple and straightforward way. Mental simplicity, spiritual simplicity, and physical simplicity. We are producing and consuming too much material, and we are wasting too much material. We are accumulating too much material. Our attics are full. Our offices are full. Our homes are full from stuff which we don't use. And therefore, my second kind of weapon of protection and second source of happiness is elegant simplicity. Live simply so that everybody can simply live. And living simply requires a more genius and much more imagination and much more creativity, much more frugality. And so if we want to make sure that Earth survives, planet has integrity, and for our children and grandchildren and many, many next generations to come, if we want their lives to be good, then we have to live simply. Our footprint on planet Earth has to be smaller, and our impact on planet Earth has to be reduced. So elegant simplicity is my second weapon. So be a pilgrim and live a simple, frugal life, but a joyful life. Abundance of life, nature there, but no waste and no pollution. If we can learn from nature of that abundance without waste and without pollution and without accumulation and without hoarding, then I think there's no shortage of anything. We can live good life. We can live joyful life. There's enough in the world for everybody's need, but not enough for anybody's greed. So we have to drop the greed and live only on our need. And then with reciprocity, with mutuality, we can live a good life. So be a pilgrim and live a simple life. These are the two advice I give.
Thank you. And just to add, your book, Elegant Simplicity, is available from resurgence.org. It's a great book, so do buy a copy. And we've got time for two final questions.
Yes.
Which the first is, we live in a society where people seem to be easily offended. What is your advice on this, please?
Okay. Give no offense and take no offense. This is the mantra. Always remember, give no offense and take no offense. There is a story of the Buddha. So, a young man had become a monk and followed Buddha. His father was very upset. And he came to the Buddha and said, "You are spoiling young people. you are confusing them. You are taking them away from the home. They are not looking after home. They are not looking after business. They are not looking after land. Why are you doing it? You are so terrible. And you are. So the father was very aggressive and angry with the Buddha. Buddha listened, and said nothing back. Kept smiling. Father got tired of abusing the Buddha, went away. Then one of the disciples, Ananda, asked the Buddha, this man was so abusive, so offensive, speaking so badly to you, and you answered nothing, you kept silence. Why? So the Buddha said, if somebody came to me with a box of oranges or a basket of oranges and wanted to give me, and I did not take, where will those oranges go? So Ananda said, those oranges will remain with the person who brought them for you. So Buddha says, same way, this man came with all these abuses and all these offensive words, but I took nothing. So they remained with him. They've gone with him. I'm not touched. So that is a good example that if somebody gives you offense, you take no offense. You don't pay attention. It's nothing to do with you. You are who you are. The person who is being offensive, this is his problem. Like a duck in the water never gets wet. In the same way as somebody who is detached from these abusive words and does not take any offense is not affected. And so take no offense. Leave the offense and the abuse in the mouth or in the mind or in the hands of the person who is giving you the abuse. Let them remain with that person. You take nothing. If you don't take it, it's not yours. So be detached. Just let it pass. Let it pass. Everything passes. That's my advice. So I take no offense and I give no offense. That's my mantra.
Thank you. I'm glad you take no offense. The final question to answer within 3 minutes is, when is your book coming out and where can people get it from?
Yeah, so my book is coming out any day. The copies are already printed and so they're any day. So people can order through resurgence.org shop, and it's £9.99, £10 plus postage and packing. So just look resurgence.org or maybe Cowdray the Cowdray website may also have books, or order from any bookshop. So it's $9.99 and it's called Pilgrimage for Peace, a long walk from India to Washington, and it's published by Green Books. It's available. And I hope you enjoy reading it. This is the full story of my walk, first time I have written. And British Film Institute is interested to make a film of this book as well. So in maybe next 2-3 years' time, there will be a film as well. So they want to make a film, and so it is there. So I hope people buy it.
Thank you, Satish. It's been absolutely wonderful, a real pleasure listening to your story. Really hope the book is successful and the film comes out in the next 2 to 3 years. And thank you very, very much for a wonderful talk. I will now speak very briefly on the work of the Resurgence Trust, which is an environmental educational charity. 6 times a year, we publish Resurgence and Ecologist magazine. Each issue of the beautiful publication carries thought-provoking articles written by the key writers and thinkers of our time. If you have been inspired by Satish, he writes an article in each issue of the magazine. Annual membership of the charity is £30 and you will receive your 6 copies of the magazine wherever you live in the world. Please visit resurgence.org for more details. And also the shop on the website, as Satish mentioned, will be selling his book in the very near future. The charity also runs the Ecologist website, theecologist.org, as a free service, which has over 3 million visitors a year and is updated daily with wide-ranging information on environmental issues, including climate, farming, energy, food, health, and ethical living. The charity also runs the Resurgence Centre for Environmental Education in Heartland, North Devon, where Satish is sitting, and organises many educational events which are now taking place online. These include monthly Resurgence talks, which take place on the last Wednesday of each month. In the coming months, speakers include Bill McGibbon, Ian McGilchrist, Philippe Sands, and Gail Bradbrook. On 30th of October, we have the annual Festival of Wellbeing, which is an all-day online event, and we are delighted that Cowdray Estate are one of the festival sponsors. Speakers include Satish, Dara McNulty, Lily Cole, Charles Eisenstein, Vandana Shiva, Michael Morpurgo, and many others. Do visit resurgenceevents.org for more information on all these events. Finally, once again, I would like to thank Satish for giving such an inspiring talk and sharing your wonderful story with us. I would also like to thank the whole of the Cowdray estate, including Lord and Lady Cowdray, Jonathan, Ellie and Rachel, as well as the technicians for supporting the charity by hosting tonight's event. The talk has been recorded and will be on Cowdray's YouTube channel in the very near future. So please share it with others you may know who are unable to join tonight. Once again, thank you to everyone, including you, for watching and listening.